There's a single screen theatre near my home in Kolkata that has hosted so many of my on screen memories that eventually led to my love for cinema. Ashoka Cinemas, the cradle of my cinephilia. The blockbuster releases would always be screened at Ashoka in our locality, mostly Bollywood biggies with the large garlanded cutouts of the Khans and Kapoors outside the theatre, while occasionally screening the much anticipated Bengali movies. Ashoka rarely even had a screening of the Hollywood flicks. If at all, it used to be dubbed in Hindi. The same Ashoka is screening Pushpa-The Rise from today, to packed houses and the whistles and roaring that Allu Arjun's antics or Samantha's moves are fetching from the local audience reminds of the SRK Amira Hrithik shows from the childhood. Before getting into the cinematic merits of Pushpa, we just wanted to acknowledge how cinema from southern states of our country has taken over the entire nation in the last decade, and thereby contributing in the overall elevation of standards of our cinema, mass, class, or more importantly, the cherished sweet spot in between. After Bahubali, director Sukumar's Pushpa is being promoted as that pan-India release, which is expected to further enhance this impact. But does Pushpa live up to those expectations? Let's try to find that out in this video where we discuss Pushpa-The Rise, one of the most anticipated films of the year. As promised all along in the teasers and trailers, Pushpa is a mass entertainer. It is perhaps the best masala entertainer we have had in recent times. It definitely does not bring in any fresh take to our masala movie genre, but establishes more than a few of the celebrated tropes of this typical Indian genre. The swag of each of the characters in Pushpa is amazing, utterly succulent for a weekend outing at the movies. For instance, the entry scenes, the face-offs, or the whistle-fetching dialogue deliveries that mass entertainers thrive on are all razor-sharp in Pushpa. There are punchlines that will be popular in no time, and there's heroic antics or dance moves that will be imitated by fans for a long time. The camera work and music of the film is great, providing necessary audio-video flavor to the entertainment it promises. The production work and costume designs are brilliantly done, and minor details like a scar in Rashmika's hand or Pushpa's entire wardrobe contribute to the atmosphere of the film. And then there's Allu Arjun, who carries off the entire film on his shoulders. Well, shoulders in both literal and figurative sense. While the Telugu star is there almost in all the frames for this near 3-hour-long movie, it is also the stiff shoulder of Pushpa that adds to the swag and fun of his character during the fight and dance scenes. If Pushpa exceeds our expectations in any way, that must be in the way Allu Arjun lives and breathes this character. The rustic vibe, the Chittur accent, and the all-around swag is award-worthy, and the finest mass hero performance of the year. Watch him talk on his mobile phone with a gang beating him around. Watch him hold the phone against his head with a stiff shoulder when he fights back. And then hold a chair or a weapon the same way a few scenes later with the same ease and swag. The pre-interval scene sets the screen on fire, and the post-interval sequence after the forest fight, when Pushpa marches in front of the once powerful men of the smuggling syndicate, is pulsating material. Allu Arjun makes this performance so believable that a lot of flaws that the script has is overshadowed. And even if the story doesn't move much across the 3-hour-long run, the film still feels engaging. But then, the most important factor for a mass entertainer to lay its impact in its build-up of its villains, as we keep on saying. They must be larger than life for you to root for an underdog like Pushpa-Raj. Going by its ensemble villains, Pushpa is a mixed bag. From Sunil's Mangalam Strenu to Ajay Ghosh's Konda Reddy to Dhananjay's Jolly Reddy, everyone has the required presence, but the script doesn't provide them enough meat for the tension to grow with an audience that would make them root for the hero. They all come in with good swag but don't stand much of a chance against Pushpa. And by the time Fahadh Faasil's Bhanwar Singh Shekhawat steps in, whom the script positions as the prime antagonist, we have already spent around 2.5 hours watching Pushpa rise and rise and rise. Why do we fall? So that we can rise again, was the epic dialogue from the Dark Knight franchise, one of the finest mainstream entertainers of our times. And there lies the biggest problem with Pushpa Part 1. The hero doesn't fall enough for us to celebrate the rise. It feels that this entire Part 1 is a build-up for Part 2, a rule where we would have more balanced face-offs between the heroes and the villains. The quirky non-mainstream Allu Arjun Fahadh Faasil confrontation that serves to be the climax of this film is basically a trailer for what's coming. Whether this narrative format eventually works out once all the parts are available is difficult to predict, but as a standalone film, it doesn't really work well. Pushpa also has the problematic male gaze that's a default for our mainstream movies. The camera lingers on Samantha's body in Own Antava. Rashmika keeps on dropping her sari in the popular Sami Sami song. Pushpa doesn't invest at all in the slow and gradual change that has come into the gaze of our films. The roles the woman must play are old school as well, either being protected by the men or shivering in the corner of the frame. It is only near the end of the film that we have Anusuya Bhardwaj's Dakshini justifying her presence in this world run by testosterone. But that too comes out to be an investment for what's coming in Part 2. Rashmika hardly has a role to play in the film apart from her glamorous presence. Even Allu Arjun's rustic costumes add a second layer in his face-off with Fahad, but the heroine doesn't. Maybe next time when Pushpa rules, we will have a lady contribute a little more by his side. So that is that, guys. Bahubali 1 left us hanging, having told a story to its midpoint. Pushpa Part 1 is an entire 3-hour long film invested for the build-up to that story which is expected to be in Part 2. What we have here is swag, pure swag, from a regional star who has entertained his local fans for years now in his way to win over the country this time. Watch the film for Allu Arjun only and you won't be disappointed. For Fahad fans, you didn't have him enough in the trailer for a reason. It's for you to watch out the Fahad trailer at the cinemas. That's all from us today. Thank you for watching. Guys, please share the video, leave us a like and a comment so that we can keep on making more content which entertains you. Thank you again.